You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
Welcome to the exciting world of the movies.
Hello and welcome to the movie graveyard. We're deeping back into the Tom Cruise chronicles. We're talking about the early career Tom, before he was international, before he was pulling off missions that were impossible. He was pulling off a mission in 1983 that was very possible. He was going to Tijuana, yeah. We kind of started this kind of looking at, Tom. He came out with a couple early roles. He had a supporting role in Outsiders, and then the next year after that, he just like blew up on the scene with the menage a trois, if you will, with All the Right Moves, Losing It, and Risky Business, all very sex themed. Yeah, it was very sex themed, because even All the Right Moves is like, Risky Business is all about sex. It's literally about prostitution. Really? This movie's about prostitution for the most part too. All the Right Moves, at least he had a very graphic sex scene with Leah Thompson. Well, no, it was because like they actually showed her bush and everything, and on the home video like we saw, like in later years they like recropped it, censored it out. Yeah, like you could see a lot more, and also too you could see Tom's penis in the shower and All the Right Moves, because if you ever watch Scream. Like when all the kids get dismissed from class because everybody's getting killed by Ghostface, like how they all go to the video store to rent all the horror movies. What's her name? Rose McGowan says to Nev Campbell, she's like, oh, and like we should rent All the Right Moves because if you pause it in this right place, you can see Tom Cruise penis. So Tom was a very sexual performer in his early days of film. Yeah. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and get rolling. I'm rolling off. I know this film came out on DVD. There's a big DVD 10-pack back in the day I had, but I got it on the newer Blu-ray. So I don't know really like what version you guys have out there, or streaming version, because like as always, like these movies that came out originally from smaller studios, like we noticed this when we did another movie recently, me and Zach, like depending if you're streaming it, if you're watching on disc, you might get a whole nother set of like opening logos. So I have the Blu-ray paused on the 17-second mark, and it's the first logo company. It says Manson International. It's a big M with a rainbow-colored film strip wrapped around it. It says Manson International. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, go. When you hear me say the word go, please hit play on your remotes, and we'll get into losing it here. All right, everybody. 1, 2, 3, go. We are rolling away with Manson International. But I have to say, I'm not really familiar with that logo. But then there's the Embassy logo, which I am very familiar with. Embassy Pictures. They put out a lot of like good early 80s stuff. So yeah, so like I think if I remember it right, like this is it's one of those, this movie's so old, it's like literally the title comes up just immediately. Like not even like a so-and-so picture directed. It's just like a Hallmark Channel movie. Yeah. And it starts out with the theme song they made, Losing It. Says, school's out, boys, get your motor running, losing it. Like, it's awesome. Women, wine, and beer, losing it. Like, it's really awesome. Oh my God. But yeah, like, it's really like, we find all the guys in their houses, respective houses, in the morning, getting ready for school. Everybody's waking up, which was also just like Tom's movie, All the Right Moves, where it started out with him waking up in the morning, getting ready to go to school in the cold and frosty Pittsburgh morning. But this is different because these boys are waking up in California.
Here it is.
Yep.
The big piece of the movie.
Yeah, Jackie Earle Haley, he stuffs his, not even his pants, like his actual underwear with a giant tube sock so it can look like he's a well-hung Chad with a tight circumcision when he goes to school. Look how Tom, like, whipped that hair into shape right there. He's, like, really...
Oh, my God, he is so dorky in this movie. I could not believe how dorky he was in this movie.
Yeah, like, IMDb lists this as, like, 82 movie, but it actually came out in theaters in 83, so, like...
Oh, see, he doesn't have the dorky hair in this shot.
No. he's like more like well groomed Tom in the shot. But like, yeah, like I wonder like if this was like, if Tom might have even possibly shot this before The Outsiders. I don't know, but it's definitely before he was starring in roles because
he's kind of like he's not like fat in this one, but he's kind of a little pudgy in this one. And from what I remember in The Outsiders, he was a little bit. He was like pretty thin.
He's pretty buff, yeah. Yeah, like it's weird. Like Tom, like he's got little baby cheek, like chubby cheeks, but he's not like he's got a real tight shirt on. Like he doesn't really have any body fat. It's weird.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Jackie Earle Haley, the future Freddy Krueger here.
He's so ugly. I hate to say that.
Oh, come on.
Guy,
but
so
he was.
ugly.
Do you know why he was? Yeah, like this a long time ago in a high school, not so far away. But yeah, he was like. What's weird is like. Because John Stockwell's also in this movie. It's like pretty much the main guys.
It's really that smile, how it's so gummy on the top. Like,
yeah.
You can see his whole gums on the top. It just makes him look so gnarly.
Well, he was like the big star of this movie at the time because he was in the Bad News Bears movies. He played like the older kid that rode the dirt bike to the games and was always smoking cigarettes and shit.
Oh my god, he's just so gross.
Yeah. So here we get, like, the boys are all doing the thumbs up the last part of school, and their one friend, who, like, for some reason, he looks like
he has gray hair.
Yeah, he looks way older. I think it's just because I was going to say it, I think it's just the light is shining hard on his hair. Like, this movie's like...
Is that Nathan Lane?
No. It looks like him, but...
Oh my god.
But, yeah, like, this movie's very, like, insanely, overly... brightly lit, and I think it's because when I was a kid watching this on cable, I always thought this was supposed to be a 50s movie the way they're dressed, but it turns out it actually takes place in 1965.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of stuff made in the 60s still kind of has like a 50s look to it.
Yeah, and I think even though this was an early 80s production, and there were some like brightly lit movies of that time, especially teen comedies. Like, I think they, like, insanely went... Because when we were watching that Elvis movie the other day on TV, like an actual old Elvis movie, like a beach movie, or no, it was the Frankie Avalon movie, that beach movie. That movie with the guy in the gorilla suit and all that shit, that movie was, like, lit just like this. Like, it was just, like, so really bright. But I kind of like it, though, because if you notice, like, they intentionally have, like, all the main guys kind of wear colorful clothing in this. Yeah. And, like, the bright light really makes their clothing colors pop, I think.
Yeah, that's one thing that, like, I love watching any of... That's one thing I love about watching the older movies that we watch, because they're so colorful. Like, even, like, I'm always, like, pointing stuff to you now, like, in the background, like, I'm not even paying attention to what's happening in the front. I'm just, like, looking in the background, and I'm like, oh my god, look at that thing in the back, how colorful it is. Like, it's so funny, because it's just like I'm not used to that anymore, and so when you watch it, it's so obvious. Like, look at all those pillar things in the background that were all yellow. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say just all the girls. There's a couple girls in the hallway with like red sweaters, and it really like stood out.
Yeah, like little details like that. I mean, granted, any school could have yellow like pillars or whatever, but it's like you wouldn't notice it in a movie today because it just wouldn't be like colored brightly.
Yeah, it would be all digital, and then they would use a computer to bring all the colors down. And this guy that throws the condom full of water, man, and hits the girl, like, this dude looks like a guy from, like, the 50s.
There had to be two that were thrown, right? Because one got him, and then one got her.
Yeah, it was like a double splash, kind of. And here we see our guy, John Stockwell, who, like, obviously, he didn't become a huge star like Tom did, but he had a lot of success, like, right after this. The next year, he made Christine with John Carpenter, the Stephen King.
Played this role really well. Like, it seems like him. Like, he seems like this guy.
Yeah, and like he's kind of like a hood. He's not a greaser or anything, but he's kind of like out of all the guys, he comes from like the poorest family. It seems like, and
I guess he's not pudgy.
No, like that's what was weird. Like I felt that way too, but like maybe there's like different like maybe Tom's weight fluctuated like while they filmed the movie, because there's some parts where he looks very babyish and kind of round face, and there's other parts where he looks a little more like chiseled, like how we're used to seeing Tom. But like that's what I was saying though. It's weird though because he's definitely not fat because his clothes are so damn skin tight in this movie. There was like even if you would have had like love handles, you would have seen him. Yeah. So because the guy who looked like Nathan Lane, backed out, which like it's good. Like he backed out because he wasn't really a recognizable actor. So then they have to
But
take.
now rewatching it, I'm curious to see what the movie would have been like if he would have went.
Yeah, well, he seemed like a nerdy guy, so he.
I know, that's what I'm wondering.
Like they have to bring Jackie Earle Haley's little brother Wendell the Wimp, who like I'm blanking on his name right now, but he's like he was a kid actor who was in a lot of stuff back then, and yeah, like John Stockwell got in trouble there for getting in that fight with that jock, so he's like got.
I like how he's walking.
Yeah, he's got
like, yes, sir, I'm leaving right now.
Like his punishment is like picking up all the trash around the school, but then. Like on the football field, they're having football practice, and he runs out. And like this was in the trailer. Like it's always like fun hijinks. This is like the first start, besides obviously the water balloon condom. This is like the first start of really the hijinks of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
When you realize this is really going to be like a hijinks, Porky's type movie. And like the coach is like, oh, he's getting away from his punishment. Like the whole football team chase him. Like they're trying to kill him. And you even pointed out when he jumps up the fence here.
Fall over.
Yeah, the fence is like all bouncy. I remember like climbing fences as a kid, and they were always shaky like that.
I forgot the lid. Was that him or a stunt guy?
It looked like him.
Yeah,
like like his the hair, everything. Yeah, his name was Spider.
Actors back then were very athletic.
Yeah, he was.
They would never dare let an actor do that now.
Well, then he like hangs off the back of the car there, like almost fall in. Yeah, so like Wendell the Wimp, he's the little brother, but he's the kid of the school who always like runs like the black market shit. Like he's always selling firecrackers. Yeah, they are. I mean, they're really like you can tell they're getting pulled on the thing, but because you
even then.
But yeah, like they are like. And I was wondering, like you see in like period piece movies too, like sometimes they go faster. So you don't notice all the cars on the street like might not be completely vintage or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah. But they're rolling this convertible, and we should talk about this car here.
Look at his teeth. Like, oh my gosh, he's so gross.
He's Jack Earle Haley, man. Like everybody knows. He's about Jackie Earle Haley.
I didn't get to say any of this when we watched it the first time because I tried not to talk when we watched it for the first time so I could say it on here. So now you're gonna hear everything I was thinking. Oh.
Yeah, like when we kind of made the decision and we kind of forgot about it for a while, but to try to tackle the early Tom classics, you know, like I could not wait to get to this one. I was like, oh, I can't wait to like force losing it down your throat so you have to see it. But
I just can't believe you said you used to watch this all the time when you were little. Like, what the hell?
I'm really not shitting you when I said I used to watch this. I probably watched this like on a weekly basis for a while, for like a year or two.
So now, at that same age, would you let your kid watch this movie?
I mean, I would. I don't think you would, but I would.
I would not.
Like I used to go to see R-rated films all the time when I was like under the age of 5, and I think what people don't understand is like.
But that's because you were raised by a man.
Yeah. But no, it's just like there's a lot of bad things in a movie that you think is like, oh, a kid can't see this, but it's like.
It's not that they can. I just feel like they're not ready for it yet.
But like, okay, first of all, like, you know how this movie's called Losin It, and like if you were to see the trailer, it's all like Woody, which by the way is Tom's name, like Woody is trying to Spider, like they're all losing it. Like the whole point is like they're supposed to be going to lose their virginity. Right. But like I never had any clue as a kid. Like I knew like when they went through.
That's not what I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about all the nudity.
Like all the hijinks. Well, there's really not even that much nudity, really. But like even when I was a little kid, I never thought like seeing a woman's breast was bad. Like it never seemed like that big of a deal.
It's bad. It's just something that I don't think they'd be ready for yet. How old were you when you were watching it?
Well, this came out in theaters when I was 6, and I saw it on cable.
See, that's
too. So I probably back then it took a little while for things to get to the movie channel. So like I was probably at the youngest, I was probably 7, and I was probably more like 8 or 9.
Yeah, see, that's still too young for me.
Even at 9 to watch Losing It?
It's too young.
Oh, come on. I mean, like you just got to know you can't like here like they're robbing the store. We should say like they go to this little grocery store, neighborhood grocery store, and Shelley Long and the guy playing her husband. So like I always took it that like that girl that was walking on the parking lot was like a girl he was having an affair with, and she found out or something. Which that might not even be the storyline. I could have like confused. But basically, for one reason or another, like, she basically decided to leave him.
I think he was just, like, flirting with her or something.
Yeah. Because, like, the girl walking out was super pissed. She's like, I've had enough of this. And she, like, slammed down and broke all her groceries.
Maybe she was another one of the employees, and she just didn't... She got tired of them fighting. I think that's what it was.
That could be, too. But she sped out on a Corvette. And I like how the guys were trying to hit on that girl, and she, like, almost ran them over. So then here comes a great stunt where Shelley Long's in, like, the delivery van for the market or whatever. And, like, they have kind of, like, this fake front part of the store built. Man. Yeah, and, like, she pulls out. She almost hits a guy's car, but then she just crashes into the whole entrance to the place. And then she, like, just to get away from the husband, she jumps in the car with the teenage boys. And, like we should say that they just shoplifted, like, the shit out of... They just... Yeah, like, $200 worth of donuts and shit they just stole. Which... like, when they're grabbing the drinks, the Cokes and stuff, I was like, why aren't they grabbing beer?
I know, that's what I thought too when we first saw it.
Yeah. Maybe they just thought they would get in more trouble if they was getting caught stealing beer or something.
Well, they're driving. Or he was anyways. They wanted to get to their destination safely.
Yeah. But yeah, and like they pull out and like they're pretty much like at the beach here.
Look at Tom.
Look at Tom, young Tom.
Little baby face.
He's kind of baby faced in risky business as well.
Yeah. That's one of those ones that I know I should have watched by now.
Yeah, we'll get to it. So yeah,
he's realizing he's got all this stuff in his hand. Yeah,
I mean, she just ran out on her husband, like their store that they own or whatever.
He's trying to hide it. Hey, look, those Twinkies.
They offer her something. She's like, oh, like you guys stole all this stuff.
These are my pretzels.
Yeah, she's like, this is our price tag on it.
Where did you get it from?
But
me too. We're from poor families.
Yeah,
he's driving this nice ass car. We're from poor families.
And like Tom like offers to pay for it or take it back or something. Like it's so silly.
We'll even give it back.
Yeah.
We haven't even opened these. Why does she even care?
Yeah, like I think that's the thing that's funny is like she realized like what does it matter? I just walked out on my husband. Like who cares about his stupid store or whatever? Because even back then, all that stuff was probably like $20 worth of shit.
Yeah. And obviously, this guy wants a piece.
Yeah, Spider thinks he can bang her, and like we should say because like you know they're all supposed to be like I don't know 16, 17, 18 years old at the most because they're still in high school. And she's, like, the older woman, but, like, it's, like, one of those things when I watch this now. Like, when I watched this as a kid, I was like, oh, she's the adult. But when you watch it now, like, you realize, like, she's probably only supposed to be, like, 27 or 28 years old.
I was wondering how she was supposed to be.
She's pretty young. So, like, Shelley Long, like, I guess because the show Cheers came out, like, right around this time, like, either this year or the next year after they shot it. And, like, one thing I thought was funny was, and I don't even know like how this would really be possible, but one of the Jackie Earle has to take a sock out of his fucking pants to go pee in the thing because Shelley Long, the women's bathroom was broke. She had to use the men's one. She walks out and like startles him. He pisses all over his like little thin white canvas shoes. But the guy John P. Navin who played Wendell. He was the first person through the front door in the very first episode of Cheers, which also starred Shelley Long. Wow. So, like, it's weird, like, that a kid walked through the bar doors in the first episode of Cheers. But it was like, I thought that was an interesting piece of trivia. But, like, also, too, another thing that's interesting is one of the earlier movies Tom did, Taps, from, like, 81.
Oh, these guys are there from the beginning.
Yeah, the soldier guys. Yeah, they pass them.
Get a horse.
Yeah, basically they just show some short soldier guys trying to get to Tijuana and they'll come and play later. Yeah. But yeah, like so, like Taps is a really good movie about some kids who take their military school hostage because they're about to shut it down.
The easiest entrance into Mexico you will ever see.
Yeah, and they're like, "Wow, there's no line," or they didn't check our car, and he's like, "Yeah, nobody cares what you bring into Mexico. It's what you take out." But yeah, the movie Taps, the little boy who plays Wendell, John Navin, he was in that with Tom too. Wow. And then like the one guy who plays like the main bully soldier, Rick Rossovich, and then John Stockwell and Tom, they would all be in Top Gun like 2 or 3 years after this. So it's really interesting how like actors always like just like kind of, you know, at that time period there were so many movies being made about young people or whatever. Like they're all bumping each other, working together with each other and stuff.
Here he's telling the story about these Spanish flies, and everybody already knows the story.
Everybody knows the conclusion.
It's just a myth.
Oh, this is the best joke. Jackie Earle Haley had to put his pissed upon canvas shoes on the antenna of the car.
That's all it took to get in.
Yeah. And like the border guard, the Mexican border guard, like sees the shoes and he starts touching them and he smells his fingers like, oh, it's pissed. Let him go through.
I'm curious if that really was filmed at an actual entrance into Mexico, because when did this come out? When was it filmed?
The release date was 83, excuse me, but place is listed as 82. So like I'm thinking it was completed in 82.
Cuz I went I think in the 90s sometime. Yeah, it was like first half of the 90s, I guess maybe. And it was not like that to get in.
No.
Like, so maybe like 10 years later, I guess. Like, yeah, it was not like that. So I'm curious if that was like a makeshift entrance for the movie, or if it was actually one of the real entrances.
Yeah, it was interesting because it was like too big for them to probably build for the budget of this movie, but at the same time, like it didn't seem like sufficient at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was too easy. Like, I don't know.
But like also too, I was watching this. Not to get off on a tangent, but I was watching this other movie last night, Perdita Durango, and because of the story, they keep crossing back and forth the border, and there's like different like areas, like depending on like what state you're in, or like I don't know, like there was like the big border crossings they went across, and then there was like one or two like really small ones too, or just like one alleyway, almost like a gate. It was weird, and it was like actually filmed in Mexico, so or parts of it were, but.
Yeah.
But I know this movie, they didn't actually film in Tijuana. This is actually, I don't know how you say it or if you heard of it, but it's like Calexico, California.
Yeah.
And they like changed a lot of the storefronts and stuff to make it seem more like Tijuana. So like maybe that was just like, I don't know, like an entrance to the city or something. Like maybe it's just like a smaller area that they just doubled as the border. Because yeah, it was hard. I mean, obviously, like we said, this movie's supposed to take place in like 65, but they really had to shoot it in the early 80s. But even the early 80s, I can't imagine that like low tech and small.
Gosh, it came in so fast.
Yeah.
Here comes what's his name?
El Jefe. Yeah.
The actor that we said he looked like. Dang.
Oh, Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, God, I just looked him up today.
Pedro Pascal's dad.
Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, so like we should mention like a big part of this storyline is the Jackie Earle Haley, the car that they take. It's like this real nice 57 Chevy, which like, you know, like it was a hot car back then, but it, you know, it wasn't a classic car yet, you know, in the world of the story. It was only a few years old. But he wants to take it down to this place while they're off in the whorehouses or whatever. They want to take it and get what they call a tuck and roll, which means like they're going to get the upholstery redone. And supposedly there's a guy here at Chewy who does it real good. Like he'll redo the upholstery because like they just kind of have like flat black upholstery now, and he wants to get it like super like red color and white stripes to match the car, make it, you know, look cool.
I like how he gets like he's like the one that's like messing around most of the time in the movie, always talking about girls and getting a piece. But I like when he talks about the car, he's so serious and he turns real like humble and like,
yeah.
I like that part of him. Like, it's endearing.
Like he's like Jackie Earle Haley plays Dave, who's like, and Dave's like the more obnoxious kind of character of the crew, and like that's the thing, you always had to have a crew back then. So like, you know, Jackie Haley is like the obnoxious one. Spider, John Stockwell's like the tough guy from the wrong side of the tracks, and then Woody, played by Tom Cruise, is literally just like your just more normal straight laced kid, you know. But yeah, like the cop starts talking to them about the car, like he followed them there, and like they try to get away from him real quick because like, you know, like they're afraid he was going to be a cop that was going to shake them down for money or something. And like, yeah, like the cop is like admiring the car and stuff, and they're just like they're getting defensive because they think this cop's trying to roll them. So
well, he says it'll make a good police car. So.
yeah, like he makes it sound like he wants to take the car or something.
He's claiming that the brake light is out or whatever.
Yeah, which they never show whether it really was or not, so it's hard to say. But like, yeah, like you don't know, like the Mexican cop, like you don't really know, is he corrupt, like they're afraid he is, or is he just, you know?
Is he being real?
Yeah, because like Stockwell was all mouthing off to him, getting on his bad side, but you can't really tell. But he says, "I'll leave you alone because you're going to do business with Chewie, and you know he needs the money or whatever." But yeah, so this is Shelley Long, her kind of plot, or what do you call it, character arc, I guess, of the movie is that she wanted to go down to Tijuana to get a quickie divorce. I guess that was like it was cheaper down there or whatever. Just like Jackie Earle Haley's getting his upholstery down there because it's cheaper in Mexico. I guess it's cheaper to get the lawyer stuff done down there.
Thinking of eye makeup and all that eye makeup she has on. I looked up today, and yes, Elvis Presley actually wore eyeliner.
Did he? Wow. Yeah, we were debating the factual correctness of the Elvis movie, where Tom Hanks says that Elvis wore eyeliner, but
Priscilla said he did, but he just barely wore a little bit just to accent his eyes, which you can't even really tell. It's like eyeliner. It just looks like he has pretty eyes.
Dark feature, yeah. Black hair. So yeah, this is kind of funny too. Like another urban legend, like how they were talking about the Spanish flies earlier, is Dave is making the little brother Wendell stay with the car with Chewie, because he says yeah, like what these guys do down here for your upholstery is they stuff it with horse shit, and because it's cheaper than like the upholstery stuffing or whatever. And, and you don't know anything because it's dried out, but then when the first time it rains, it gets wet, your car smells like shit. Which is, like, obviously it's an urban legend, like, even within the movie. Because, like, Chewie even jokes about it at one point. But, like, yeah, like, it's funny, though, because, like, when you're redoing the upholstery, like, most of the shit's in there already. Like, it really wouldn't make sense to stuff it with horse shit.
I just noticed right now, but I was gonna say, like, how do you think they did that? They just the seats have to be like removable, huh?
Yeah, I think you just like anything, you probably just have to cut it and separate it from the.
No, I mean like for them to actually switch the upholstery out for the movie.
Oh yeah, like they have to all seats are removable in cars. Some are easier than others. Like minivans and shit are made to be real easy to like pop them out.
I think it's so funny how he's so, like, all about Sinatra and being classy and stuff and snapping his fingers while he's walking.
Yeah.
And being such a cool guy, but he's so, like, horny and, like, inappropriate.
Yeah, like I think in a lot of ways, and obviously there's, like, The Last American Virgin and all that, but, like, I think this movie more than
how that girl says, I think I love you.
Yeah, the Mexican hookers here. Yeah. And then they just realize, like, they're just kind of like gawking for a second. Then she's yelling at other guys to come up too. Yeah. She just wants anybody to come up there. But yeah, like I think like this movie reminds me more of the movie that American Pie was ripping off than any other one.
Yeah.
Because Last American Virgin starts out all wacky, then it gets all serious. But I mean, this movie gets a little serious too. But like these hookers that all these guys are getting, like they're attractive women, and like what happens to them later is just like, oh, holy shit.
Well, that's what you gotta take right.
Yeah.
Jeez, I'm jumping on them.
Yeah, it's funny too because like the street is like so crowded with all these parked cars, like it's like a car show almost or something. And like I don't know why, like when I was a kid watching this, and maybe it is, but like I always thought there was like a festival going on here or something. Mm-hmm. But I think it's really just supposed to be like Friday night on the strip or whatever, and like everything's all crowded.
There's a lot of soldiers there.
Mm-hmm.
They do 100 sexy positions.
Yeah, there's basically like these there's like these little bars, and they all have different themes. Some have like southwestern themes, some are like tropical Hawaiian theme, but like they basically have these like carnival barker guys yelling, trying to get you to like come out there or whatever, to come into like their bar or whatever and drink their drinks and have sex with their hookers.
This guy.
Yeah, this guy that claims
he's trying to sell his fake watch.
Yeah, he's got a fake ass $2 watch, and he's trying to say, "Oh, it's real gold, and I'll sell it to you for $10." Says this is his grandfather's watch. I kind of like this too, because like I'd never been to Mexico, but one time I went to New Orleans, and like that's what this shit was like. Like people were just coming up to you trying to sell you all kinds of weird shit there and stuff. It was like during spring break too, so it was like people were really like weird coming up.
I don't really remember anyone walking up to you trying to sell you shit. The only thing I really remember anyone like impeding in your space was like when we were still in the car driving through the street. Mm-hmm. Like those guys that try to wash your windows, they kept coming up and like just washing the windows even though you didn't ask them to.
Yeah, because they want to get it.
And they just do it, and like then they try to like get money, but if you don't give it to them, they just walk away. It was weird.
Yeah, and this guy, he kind of reminds me of
You have my word as a gentleman.
Yeah, he says, "Come into my bar, guys. I got the filthiest, juiciest women in Tijuana." Like, you have my word as a gentleman. That's his catchphrase. He kind of reminded me of like, I wonder if it was like this is what inspired Cheech Marin and From Dusk Till Dawn, where he's like, "Come on in, pussy lovers." So, like, the theme of this bar is weird. It's, like, the stage where the girls dance. It's, like, a big paper mache, like, girl's mouth with a tongue. And at the end, the tongue tips up, and there's, like, a guy who, like, kind of puppets just the very end of the tongue. Like, I was like, what's the point of that? Like, it's just so silly. Oh, it's supposed to be this licking her? It's not a very good, like, prop or whatever.
Why did they let the most horniest guy choose the place to go, and he's gonna choose anything, even if it's not good?
Well, this one's kind of like a tiki bar. It's actually like it doesn't like the actual bar itself.
But like right when you like her, like it's not like she's like they've seen so many other like girls as they walk by. Like I wouldn't exactly say she's like those other ones.
Yeah, and like the girls on the like on the street, like basically pulling in all the GIs to have sex and stuff. Like they were like very like sexy, I go say. Where like these girls that come and talk to them in the bar, like kind of like the scam of this bar is they have these girls working there. Yeah. Where like there's girls stripping up on stage, but there's like these other like
they look so trashy.
Yeah, like these girls are kind of just more like homely, kind of like they're not ugly, but they're kind of just like homely, and they sit with you.
Those terrible wigs.
Yeah. They sit with the guys, and then the waiter comes and kind of forces the guys to spend money on the drinks.
He's not impressed.
Yeah. Spider's like whatever, because I never got the impression that Spider was like a virgin at all. Yeah. Like if anything, it seemed like he was probably always banging girls at the high school or whatever.
I feel bad for
Tom's so nervous. But like Tom's funny though. Like he wants to meet like a nice girl and have sex, and it's like that's not what you go to Tijuana for. Like I mean, as over the top and annoying as Jackie or Haley is as Dave, like he at least gets what the point of Tijuana is.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the girl's grabbing Jackie Haley's tube sock in his pants, going, "Oh, you're huge, oh." But what's funny is, like, what were you, like, it'd be different if you were just wearing a tube sock in your pants, like, walking around school, and everybody's like, "Oh, look at that bulge," or whatever. But, like, what would you really do if you're going to have sex with a girl? Like, ain't she going to see the tube sock, like, come out or whatever? Yeah, I like this guy. Like, he charges people to take pictures in front of a donkey where you wear a hat that either says "just married" or "just divorced." This is a great bit here. Like, Shelley Long's just walking around. There's, like, a wishing fountain. And, like, kind of just to say, like, you know, whatever, like, it's like a contemplative, like, character moment for her character, like, you know, going through with this. And, like, she throws her wedding ring in the fountain, but there's all these Mexican guys, like, just standing around watching her, and, like, they go diving in the fountain for the ring. Mm-hmm. And then she has to go dive in the fountain, too, and fight them off to get her ring back. Like, she totally, like, why does she even care? Like, she totally, like, was just throwing her wedding ring away. But then she got disgusted that these guys were going to take it. Like, it's not like it was going to sit in that wishing well forever anyway with all the pennies or whatever.
It's mine.
Yeah. Like, she actually kind of, like, fights these guys, too. Like, I was really... Like, at first second...
Oh, because they're really, like...
Yeah, the guy pulls her hair and shit. Like, I thought for a second they were going to start, like, give her a black eye or something, like, beat her up. But Shelley Long... I think Shelley Long is, like, really underrated. Like, she was a huge star in the 80s and pretty much... Like, she did Cheers, and she did The Money Pit with Tom Hanks. She did this other movie called True Beverly Hills. It was pretty big. And like, yeah, it's really weird. Like, as big of a star as she was in the 80s, like by the 90s, she was like kind of like gone. Like, it was weird.
That was a William from Mi Familia.
Yeah, that's who he was. But
Cab driver.
Shelley Long's good. She kind of got like she's kind of like a tall, thin woman. She kind of has like a real great classic kind of comedy physicality to her.
That's from the 90s, isn't it? Mi Familia. Or is it early 2000s?
I don't know. I think it's I think it's like late 90s.
Add some spice to your podcast.
Yeah. Mi Familia.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember, like, yeah, I can't really remember exactly what year it's from. I remember the trailers. I think it's definitely 90s.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, so now, Tom and...
Maybe we should have bought those switchblades.
Yeah, Jackie or Haley needs... Like, they're getting led upstairs because it's like... That's the thing that they tell them, like, oh, the girls will take you upstairs. And they do, but then the girls leave and they're like, well, what the hell are we going upstairs for? And, like, this big, like, fat, like, kind of bouncer bully guy comes and he's like, you got to go upstairs. Because they thought they were going to go upstairs and have sex with those girls.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe that's what all the other, like, hookers on the street were doing. Like, they would get the guys in and then dump them off.
That's true.
But, yeah, but this guy, he doesn't even give them a choice. It's just, like, go up there and they think they're going to get robbed or something, but there's a brothel up there. And, like, some of the women are kind of like, I mean, you can't really expect the best with, like, some Tijuana hookers, you know what I mean? But, like, some of them are, like, kind of okay. They're just kind of trashy looking. And some of them are, like, really old.
I did not see one that was kind of okay at all.
I think the ones that, like, they're kind of gross in, like, their hairstyles and shit. But I think the ones that Jackie Earle Haley and John Stockwell, like, they're passable for, like, they're actually pretty good for Tijuana hookers, I think. But the lady Tom picks, man, she's like old enough to be his grandma almost. Like, it's really...
Tom's like, no, I want the ones downstairs. And, like, they're all telling him, you want a chicken out? It's like, dude, this is his first time. Why are you forcing him to do it with some old hag?
Yeah. Yeah, these women, I'm sorry, they're kind of old. Kind of rough around the edges. But all of them, no matter what, though, like at this point, I was just like, are they really, like, whatever? Because they have this projector running, like, showing, like, old 50 stag films. And then I think there's, like, a little TV they're all watching, too. But, like you just wonder, like, are they going to get robbed? Or, like, just the whole vibe of the place is, like, super...
He just slaps her on the leg. Hey, come with me.
And then Jackie Earle Haley, like, he's like, oh, I want the one with the biggest boobs or whatever.
Ooh, she looks like she has a hickey on her chest.
Yeah, that was weird. It's like almost like lipstick hickey on her chest. I love that line when Tom asks that old hooker lady, have you been working here very long? Trying to make conversation.
Nice.
Yeah, trying to make conversation. And then this is where the hijinks start, because, like,
damn, fucking Tom's pants are tight as fuck.
I know. Yeah, they bust in the room, and Rick Rossovich, their nemesis, the soldier guy.
Oh my god, this guy's so gross.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that they even, like, really showed him, because, like, the guys are upstairs getting involved in all the hooker stuff, and then, like, they show this guy who, like, sings, like, these raunchy, dirty songs down in the bar or whatever.
He's so greasy, too. He's so gross looking.
He's super greasy, yeah. He's super greasy. Yeah, like, they forget, like, because Jackie Earle Haley had all the condoms, they forgot they got some from him. Because, like, even these guys in the mid-60s are smart enough to, like, they have to wear a condom with, like, these Tijuana hooker ladies. Which, like, I wonder, like, what was the deal back then? Yeah. Jackie Earle Haley, like, he's trying to get a good price with the hooker. But, I wonder if, like, hookers and all that is, like, Tijuana, like when did that get cleaned up? Like,
when they started getting murdered.
Oh, yeah, a lot of murders and shit going. Yeah, and everybody keeps walking into Rick Rossovich's room. For some reason, they think Tom's in there, but he's not. But, yeah, this guy's singing a song saying she uses a tortilla for a diaphragm. Like, it's just silly, childish shit.
No, don't do
Yeah, like, I don't know why, like, I love that jacket that Tom had. Like, it was such a classic
He looks so
60s jacket. He has to take off his jacket. And he like intentionally leaves it. But this old lady, like, she knows, like, I mean, come on, like,
she doesn't know yet.
like giant roach going down the road. Like, it's obviously like a puppet or something, but it's so silly. But
how do you know it's a puppet?
because like no roach like runs down the wall like in a straight line like that. It's getting pulled on a wire or something. But yeah, like this older lady, like she can tell Tom doesn't really want to have sex with her, like old enough to be his grandma or whatever.
Here showing off his fake piece.
Yeah, that was the best part. He's like, oh, like give me a deal.
And then she raised the price.
Yeah, because she's like, damn, if your dick's that big, yeah, you got to pay $5 more. I'm guessing this. Well, I guess they didn't really shoot it in Tijuana, but I was gonna say because that dude playing the piano, he seems like a guy that would be down in Tijuana doing that shit.
Oh my god, this lady's so gross.
I think she's funny because like he's like, oh, I'm back, I got the condom, and she's like, did you remember to bring your dick? Like, yeah. So Jackie O'Haley, he brought a firework on the street, and now he's gonna toss in this room thinking Tom's in there, but again, it's Rick Rossovich, and he gets pissed, and he has to chase him out. He has to go hide. Like even the brothel part of the movie has hijinks in it. Yeah, I think Rick Rossovich, his big movie he did after this was The Terminator, where he played the roommates. Sarah Connor had a roommate and her boyfriend, like they were having sex, and the Terminator busts in the apartment. He goes one-on-one with Arnold and gets destroyed. Arnold kills him, throws him through what do you call it? A door, and he's like laying there dead. Yeah, the old lady figures out Tom's a virgin. She's like, oh, it's okay, we don't have to do it, you know. Which, like, I don't know, like it was probably really, like, only this movie I've seen like this. Or no, I think Last American Virgin is the same way, too. Like, they go to a hooker, and the main character, like, everybody has sex with the hooker except him. Like, he has to pretend like he did, even though he really didn't.
I like that she, like, said no, though. Like,
yeah.
I like that she didn't.
She didn't even take his money, either.
Yeah.
But then he's so embarrassed, he runs out and leaves the jacket, which becomes a big plot point. The lost jacket. Yeah,
I totally don't remember.
Because that's what starts the whole fight between him and Spider, remember?
Oh.
It comes up in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In her sideways boob.
Yeah, Jackie O'Haley, he can't believe her. I like he don't even like unbutton his jacket, he just rips it over his head.
Oh my god.
So obviously this is kind of like the Porky's portion. This is like the only part of the movie where they're all having sex and stuff. But like this was a staple of movies, just watching people trying to get sex, having sex, afterwards the scenes of sex, like whatever.
So when you were a kid watching that part, what did you think was happening?
Oh no, I knew they were like in a whorehouse or whatever, but it was just like, you know, like it seemed like something like, I don't think at the time though, like I thought like this is a movie. It's like I didn't really think like this was something people really do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which like being naive, you know, at the time, like now, like I know that there's whorehouses all over. Every city has one somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
But at the time, I just was like, oh, this is what happens in Mexico. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't really think this was, like, a thing that people did, like, all the time.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, like, they meet Spider and Woody. They meet down at the bar. And he's like, oh, what happened to your jacket? You left it up there? And he's like, no. He's like, I don't want, it's okay. It's just a jacket. I'll leave it, whatever. And he's like, no. He's like, don't be, like, weird. Like, I'm going to go up there with you. We're going to go get your jacket, you know? Like, just trying to be a good friend.
I don't get why he gives him such a hard time about this.
Yeah, and then Tom's like, you know, admits that, like, well, I don't want to go back up there again because I didn't really do it or whatever. And, yeah, like the carnival barker outside the go bar, he kind of reminds me of like a young Wolfman Jack with a goatee and shit. But, yeah, so, like, that kind of starts a fight with them is, like, then Tom admits that he didn't have sex. But, I mean, it's like, would you really blame your friend for, like, not having sex with an older woman like that? Like,
well, I mean, like, I don't know the rapport of guys amongst guys, but really the question is, like, would you, I mean, I know you wouldn't, because I know you, but, like, would that really be a thing where a guy would like hassle his guy friend for not doing it?
No.
When the mission was to do it.
I mean, well, I don't know. Like, maybe your mission or whatever, like, you're there and you're in a brothel and shit, maybe. But, like, just in terms of, like, whatever, like, no. Like, nobody I ever hung out with, you know. Like, I, you know, like, you would never shame your friend for hooking up with somebody nasty, but then you would also never, like, really, you know.
Why not? That'd be gross. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, people are gonna do what they're gonna do. You know, everybody has.
But you're not like a normal guy who would give his friend a hard time.
I mean, I'm sure there's some asshole
You're
somewhere,
nice.
but like, yeah, it's just like, you know, some people, you know, like I've like not mentioning any names, but like I've been friends with people that would stick their dick in a hole in the wall, and
Oh my god.
other people who, you know, date girls or whatever, and then other people who like can't get dates, like even if they wanted to, and like you don't really like shit on your friends, you know, based on like you try to help your friend. Like if your friend like needs help getting a girl, like you try to introduce them to people, or you know, kind of, but like, you know, you don't really shit on people like that.
He just finished.
Yeah.
Dave.
Yeah, Jackie Hurley finished upstairs. But yeah, this is where they get reacquainted with Shelley Long. They run into her. She gets a margarita and buys them another round of beers. And then, like, Spider starts hitting on her again or whatever. Which is, like, weird, too, because, like, I mean, she knows, like, why they came there or whatever. Like, why would she want to have sex with, like, some kid who, like, just had sex with, like, a nasty Tijuana whore or whatever?
And then he just called her a dog.
Yeah.
He gets all offended that she doesn't want him.
Yeah. But she was, I mean, it's like, I get it. Like, they were on vacation, they're having hijinks, and, you know, it's like, oh, like, they see she broke up with her husband, why not try to have sex with her or whatever? But, I mean, she was being nice. She bought them drinks, like, you know, that was another thing. Me and my friends, like, if somebody bought us drinks, like, girls or whatever, like, we'd be nice to them. We wouldn't, you know.
He's such a jerk. Like,
yeah.
He plays it so good.
Yeah, Stockwell.
Makes you hate him.
Like, he totally degrades Tom for not having sex with that old lady.
Oh, man.
But then they start to fight, but then he's like, Stockwell just punches Tom, like, one punch, it's all over. That's a classic movie thing, too, where the girl looks at the asshole and says, "You're a real jerk," you know that?
Yeah.
Like that's, like, when a girl puts you in your place, like, that really means something, you know? And then this is kind of like the course of the rest of the movie for their characters. But Shelley Long and Tom, they kind of go off and have their own Tijuana adventure. And I really like this. And it's kind of weird, too. Like, maybe because this relation between these two characters is kind of like the emotional crux of the movie a little bit. And, like this is the real coming... Like, you know, it's a coming-of-age film in a way. But Tom is really the only one. Well, I won't say that because Stockwell goes through some rough shit too, getting arrested in Mexico. Yeah. So I guess that's coming age too. But like, I always remember like more of this movie being like Tom Cruise's movie. Like he was the star. And then when I got that 10-pack DVD about 10, 12 years ago and watched it again, I was like, oh damn, like this really was an ensemble thing, you know. And Tom wasn't like just the main guy in it.
Here he is doing his business.
Yeah, Wendell the Wimp, he finally gets out to the firecracker market. He's trying to buy literally like bags and bags full of firecrackers because like for whatever they cost in Mexico, he can sell them, he says, for like 4 times the price at the middle school or high school where they're at.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god.
Yeah, because Jackie Hurley keeps going on and on about like, oh, you got to make a woman come and all this. And he's like, did you hear her screaming and all that? Like, he's so proud of that shit, not realizing that hooker's just gonna play act for you, you know? Yeah, Stockwell turns, like, real dark here, like...
No, I think it's him was supposed to be the one that, when you yell, it feels better.
Oh, yeah, he says that, too, when you yell. But in the dialogue, he said... I like this, too, where they go to the lady making snow cones. She's like, oh, what flavor you want? They're like, no, we just need the ice for Tom's lip. It's all busted and bloody.
I like how the lady reacts.
Yeah. She's like, oh, a fighter.
She asks if he's a boxer.
Yeah, you fight for the senorita.
Fight for the lady.
And Shelley Long's just like, yeah. Yeah.
That's not what he said. She said, basically like, oh, what a real gentleman.
Mm.
The captions were weird on that.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I noticed too. Like, yeah, here's the watch guy trying to sell it to Wendell. Take the kids.
He's like, no.
Yeah, he's like, it's fake, man. It's like, come on. They even like, I don't really know how old Wendell's supposed to be. I always thought he was supposed to be like around 12. But
I know their trademark.
Yeah.
It's not nice to take somebody. It's like, I imagine someone naive.
Yeah, like the little kid knows his scam better than his older brother did. This guy, this carnival barker guy, I saw this part. He's like really like creepy. He's like, oh yeah, you come in here, ah. Yeah. And he's Dave's flipping out because Wendell left the car. Jackie Earle's got like a super like buttery stained tooth, man. Like, but it's just like one tooth. It's weird. Yeah, like this guy, he even wants the kid to come into like the bar. Like they don't give a shit. They're like, yeah, the kid could come in here, whatever. See all these naked women. But yeah, Jackie Earle draws the line. He's like, no, we're gonna go back to the car or whatever. Then they kind of go off into their separate.
See, he's older than 9 years old, and his brother's like, no, this is inappropriate for you.
Wow, come on. Like honestly,
he proved me right. He proved me right.
Yeah, come on. Like with all this shit that's online now, like I was probably watching this movie at like 7, 8, 9 years old. That's probably sheltered compared to what the poor kids are seeing now. Like, because like, I mean, like I go to the grocery store and I see like they push the baby in like the shopping cart and he's like holding an iPad and shit. Like, imagine how quick like they're gonna see all this shit.
That would never be our kid. Come on.
Yeah, like, but I mean, it's just like
they're gonna be aware of the physical world.
Well, it's not about our kid. I'm just saying a kid.
They're not gonna be looking at a screen.
Yeah, I really like this part because like when they was down in like the streets of Tijuana, like the whatever whorehouse district, like it just seems so gross. I like this part where they walk through the. They even say something. I think here. Yeah, it's hard to believe this is the same town. Like they're just walking through the neighborhood, and there's like some kids having a party with a piñata and just. You know, little normal things going on, and like I kind of like this part where they kind of got out of the hooker district, and it's like it becomes a little more like a romantic depiction of the country, Mexico, whatever.
I'm on the Spanish flies.
Yeah, Jackie Earle Haley's such a dumbass. He goes into like a legit pharmacy trying to buy Spanish flies, but he can't speak Spanish, so he's trying to play act like a fly flying around and the noise and all that shit. And the guy's like, I don't know what you're talking about, kid. Did you, like, that was even a thing, though, when I was a kid. Spanish fly was, like, some shit you heard about. And I want to say, even now, like, when you go to, like, gas stations and they have all those, like, super toxic boner dick pills, like, I think, like, they have some fake shit called Spanish fly, too.
I, like, heard the phrase before, but I had no idea what it referred to.
Now that I think of it, I think I was introduced to it by, like, the Beastie Boys or something. I think they were talking about it in a song.
I've heard it in a song, yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, the pharmacist, like...
Oh, my God.
Like, yeah, Jackie Haley's, like, play-acting humping, so, like, he's like, oh, hold on, and, like, he pulls a shotgun on him.
He gets so scared.
Yeah. Like, I like this part when he runs out. Like, the way he's running, it's like a live-action cartoon. It's awesome. But even in the parking lot of the pharmacy, did you see that? There was, like, another upholstery place redoing the upholstery for cars. It was weird. So, I always wondered, like, what this place actually was. Like, they're kind of...
It looks like a drive-in.
Like,
Just they're not showing the screen.
Oh, that's what you thought? I thought it was, like, the...
I mean, I don't think they're supposed to be at a drive-in, but it seems like they filmed it at a drive-in.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Like, I thought it was, like, a place like Sonic or something, where, like, you pull in and park and,
it could
like...
be, but I never, like, later on when they go inside, like, I never noticed, like, any, like, kind of food serving anywhere.
No, but it seems almost like a community, like, dance, like a teenager's dance or something, because there's a lot of young people there. It looks like they're on dates or whatever.
Yeah, like a hall or something.
Yeah, but, like, they got these palm trees that are lit up and stuff, and, like what we were saying, too, about, like, the way movies are shot, just very nighttime, hardly any background, but, like, it's still, like, very nice looking. And Tom and her go dance. One thing was, like, she leaves her purse, like, everywhere, and, like, it never gets stolen. And I was like, even as a kid, I was like, the way like you would see Mexico or Tijuana in particular portrayed in movies, it was always like a dangerous place, like they're gonna rob you and all this shit. Yeah, like this is one of the guys I think that was jumping in the what do you call it?
This guy always has everything.
Yeah, he's like a taxi driver, but like he was the guy jumping in the fountain trying to get her ring.
Oh my god, his teeth are so gross.
Yeah, and this guy offers to take Jackie Earle Haley to a guy who has like the best Spanish fly in town, which ends up being like a comical thing.
And the lady had, she had told him like, "Oh, there's no such thing as that."
Yeah, but like they refuse to believe it. Yeah, they want to believe. They want to believe
him. Just he refused.
They want to believe in a date rape drug. Now this guy out here with this meat, I thought this was kind of gross. It's just like an alleyway with a bunch of meat hanging up on a string. Yeah, this is where things start to get like, you know, like they've been splitting this bottle of tequila, Tom and Shelley Long have, and like they're starting to get like comfortable and like they're kind of in like this high school dance setting almost, and like they're bonding as characters, and like I always felt like, I don't know, it's weird. It's like this is like a nice contrast into all like that brothel whore jumping they were doing before. Because, like, you could tell, like, even though they don't really know each other, like, they're just enjoying this experience together. Like, I think Tom would have been, like, you know, because he really wasn't about having sex with the hookers and stuff. I think if, like, Shelley Long wasn't along for the ride, I think he would have had a really miserable time in Mexico. But he was all about it when they're, like, he wanted to go with his friends and have fun. But I think...
that's what I don't understand. Like, if he... I mean, maybe he thought he would have the guts to do it, but then when it came down to it, he's like, this is nasty.
Well, it's kind of funny, too, because, like they talk about it here, and it comes up a couple other times, but, like, Tom isn't, like, in it, like, completely innocent. He has a girlfriend at the high school, just she won't do it with him. So, like, that's why he's just like, well, if my girlfriend won't do it, like, I'll just go, you know, have sex with somebody real quick who will or whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so like, you know, we're kind of, like, in the lull in between Act 2 and 3 here, and things are going to start ramping up here. But just in general, these hijinks, like all the whorehouses and what happens later where they get chased around nonstop and all crazy shit.
I was going to start telling the story that he's been telling.
Yeah, like Jackie Earle Haley's like, oh man, like it's the same story that you give a girl Spanish fly and she'll hump the stick shift. And it's funny too where he's like, I'll get you some marijuana too. And Jackie Earle Haley's like, oh no, marijuana is bad for you. It's terrible. Like, you're going to be hooked on heroin. And, like, they don't realize the guy's smoking a joint right in front of them. Like, that was, like, the joke of this. Yeah, he says, oh, marijuana make you think you can fly and jump off buildings. But,
don't talk about it while my brother's in the car.
Yeah, because, like, I grew up in the era of, like, these movies coming out nonstop, like all the Porkies and shit. But, I mean, you're a little bit younger than me.
Damn, Tom has giant hands.
He does. He's got them Ethan Hunt hands already. But, like, what did you think about this, like, style of the movie? Like, this type of movie? And, like I think this one's, like, a little more like a legit movie, in all honesty, because it has, like, actual kind of recognizable actors, and it's, you know, I guess we should say, I never mentioned Curtis Hanson, the guy who directed L.A. Confidential and 8 Mile. This is one of his first movies. This is really, like, his first real movie. He did a couple, like, really super low-budget movies before this, But so, I mean, this movie has, like, a real pedigree that, like, the teen titty flick of the time generally didn't have. But just, what did you think about, like, taking in a movie like this? Because, you know, I would sit around as a kid and watch these and Porky's and shit just because, like, they were just immature guy movies that were on TV when I was a little kid or whatever. Yeah, they're having their big first kiss here, Tom and Shelley Long. But, what would you think, like, just, like, this as an entertainment form, like, this is a template for a movie of formula. Like, what did you think about sitting down? Like, have you ever really watched movies like this before?
No, honestly, I've never even really liked American Pie. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not into this. It's not that I'm like, it's not that I'm like stuffy, you know, like I don't disapprove of like sexual activity or anything, but it's just like, I don't know, it just doesn't amuse me. Like, I don't know, I don't get any sort of entertainment out of it. Just like, I mean, I watched it with you, and like I was sitting here most of the time. Like I said, I didn't really say anything out loud because I try not to when I know we're gonna record. But I'm just kind of like, oh my god. And I think I told you, I'm going to be saying most of the time, oh my god, with this stuff on this show.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, I don't know. It's just not really, I mean, it's what I would call a guy movie. Like, and I'm not saying it in an insulting way or anything.
No.
Because
Just, that's the audience.
believe it or not, believe not everybody has to like everything.
Yeah.
Everything is not for everyone, and I'm fine with that. And I don't know, I'm not the audience for this. Like, that's usually what I say. Like, I'm not the audience for this, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, wouldn't you say, too, like, what you noticed from, like, older movies from back then compared to now is, like, back then, like, they didn't have a problem making a movie for a very specific audience. Like, here's a movie for young boys.
It does have a lot of heart. Like,
yeah.
I do, like, as much as, like, this guy here is, like, so, like, horny and, like, raunchy and always trying to get a piece, like, I do find him endearing when he calms down from that shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it does have a heart in it, and, like, I do like Tom Cruise's side, and as much as Stockwell's like a super jerk, like he, you know, like you said, he eventually has his learning moments. Like, he's still never really completely, like, you know, turns like to be as endearing as the other ones. But yeah, I mean, it's not just completely all like raunch the whole time.
Yeah.
It's just really just that whorehouse part, honestly.
I think
And that's what you said earlier, that it was just kind of like that part.
Yeah, like once you move past that part, because like now we're at the part where Tom and Shelley Long are getting a room at the Alamo Motel. I like this guy, this old sleep. This Mexican guy was old guy was sleeping at the thing. He's like, oh, I got customer. He wakes up and puts a Davy Crockett hat on. But like, yeah, you can see them. They're like, they kind of had like this romantic moment at this dance, and they're like, oh, we need to be alone together, you know, have this moment together. And, like, they're walking down to, like, their little cabin, and they see, like, everybody, the GIs, walking out with the hookers, and they're getting, like, a gross and icky feeling about it.
I noticed, too, like, when he's interacting with her, he always, like, puts his hand on her, like...
Yeah.
It's kind of awkward, but, I mean, he is an awkward guy, but,
Yeah, Tom is, like, we haven't really talked about it, right? But you can see it in this scene right here, his body language, his hands are in his pocket, he's scared.
That was, like, one thing that kind of, like, made me, like, I kind of didn't like him like that. I'm so used to him being, like, hunky Tom Cruise that it was so weird seeing him like this. It kind of made me, like, want to laugh at him, too, being like, oh my god, you're so dorky.
Well, that's kind of funny, too, because, I mean, you know, like, at this time, I mean, you know, like Tom at this time, he's probably, like, in his very early 20s, probably, like, 20, 21 when he made this movie. He was still, you know, like, in real, you know, I'm talking about in real life, he's still, like, a hunky guy, whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
he looked hungry right there.
Yeah, I mean, they cast him as the heartthrob in other movies at this time period, but it's just like, for this movie, they're like, we're going to get this Tom Cruise guy to play, like, our dork, you know what I mean?
It's funny, she says, I'm a sophisticated older woman, and she's like, I'm not.
Yeah. I like, too, like, I don't know if there's a time period thing, or he just had to do it, because he's got his pants so tight. His boxer shorts are up so high, like, past his navel.
That's what I think was making him look poofy in the stomach, because now that he has his shirt off, he looks thin.
Yeah, he's very, like, I would say even borderline muscular, you know, he's in shape.
But then it does look like how you're saying, in some scenes he looks more sculpted, because, like
his face looked very sculpted there. You can see his cheekbones and stuff.
He looks older on this part, too.
Yeah.
But, like, when they were walking, like, when they walked into the front office of the motel, his stomach had, like, a pooch on it. And I was going to point it out, but I was like, maybe it's just me. But then, like, now that I saw how he's wearing his boxers over his pants.
Yeah, I was going to say, his boxers are shut. Because, I mean, you can't, if your pants are up high, your underwear have to go with it kind of thing.
By the way, we do have to say, this was the reason why he wanted to go, was to see that damn donkey.
Yes, John Stockwell, Spider, he wanted to see a donkey show, which, you know, they never say exactly, but obviously it's, you know, he's supposed to see a woman, I don't know, jack off a donkey, have sex with a donkey. Yeah. So he finally does actually find the donkey show. But then he runs into the asshole soldier guy, and they bump into each other. He spills his drink, and then like a comical barroom brawl like breaks out, just hijinks, everybody smashing the whole place up.
This part's funny. I'm not like ordinary guys. I'm a nymphomaniac.
Yeah,
he knows he's got like he's oversexed.
Oh yeah, big time. And what's funny too is because they end up at the Jackie Earle Haley and Wendell's brother. They they end up at like the little kind of high school type dance that Tom and Shelley were at earlier. I thought that was interesting. But yeah, they see like a real pretty girl serving like whatever lemonade or whatever. So like Jackie or Haley's going to go up and basically try to roofie her and throw a Spanish fly in her drink and see if she gets real horny. Because they even like his little brother tried to tell him or whatever, like those are just aspirin or whatever, and he's like, no, they're Spanish fly. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. But I lost my train of thought for a second there. Oh no, I was gonna say Tom's underwear. Like I thought he was wearing a girdle in the scene. I'm like, oh, did they put the camera like too in the wrong place and showed he had a girdle? I was like, oh shit, that's his boxers. Like because yeah, you can't like have your underwear down around like your ass cheeks and then your like belt.
I wonder if he just did that because like he normally wears boxers, but then they gave him those tight ass pants to wear.
Yeah.
So it was like the only way they could go on is if he pulled the boxers all the way up.
Which I'm sure that's probably how guys wore their pants back then. I mean, like Spider wears blue jeans because he's more like lower class or whatever kid, but you can't wear blue jeans all up around your navel and shit. But regular pants with a belt, you could. So yeah, the cop he finally been wanting to get a hold of arrest one of the boys. He finds Spider in the middle of this barroom brawl.
This girl's not interested.
It's funny though because like even though this is like an '80s movie, it came out in the early '80s. It's like you see Jackie Earle Haley there, like he really has a face where like you see him and like he seems like a guy who could only be a teenager in the 1960s. Really.
He has the face of a 50-year-old man in a little boy's body.
Yeah, like with Jackie Earle Haley, even when you see him in Bad News Bears, which came out like I don't know, probably 5, 6, 7 years before this. Like even when he's like a younger kid in that, like he always look and act like an old man. I think that's why they always had him in these roles where he's smoking cigarettes, which is funny because like we keep talking about his stained teeth, which are obviously stained from cigarettes or whatever.
But no, they're not.
But like. What's weird about this movie for the time period is like you really don't see like hardly anybody ever smoking in this movie. When back then, I'm sure it was just like the production thing. They just didn't want to deal with like the continuity of all the cigarettes and all that. Yeah. But like like you think everybody be smoking up a storm everywhere.
I like the little brother because he's always like the conscience, like his brother's conscience, the little angel on his shoulder.
Well, I was gonna say too, like with the. As like despicable as the Dave character is with all his horniness and whatever, I think the thing that kind of redeems Dave as a character is that you see he is a good brother to Wendell. Like he don't want to take him into the whorehouse and he don't want to expose him to all the bad shit.
That's what I'm saying. Like there's stuff that's endearing about him outside of his horniness.
Yeah. And then like Tom and Shelley Long and like they came out of the Alamo Hotel having. We didn't really get to see it. We just saw them disrobing or whatever. But yeah, they did have sex.
It's starting to take effect.
Yeah, that was funny. There was a bug flying around her, and she was like swatting it away. He's like, "Oh, see, yeah, she's getting loopy." Oh,
he bought the watch.
Yeah, Wendell knows because he ran into the watch salesman guy.
That's so crazy that like there was a time where like a Model A was considered a classic.
I know.
Car. It's like by now, like those are like long gone. Well, I know they exist still, but
yeah,
very rare.
So this is like a long piece of trivia, but I'll just go ahead and read it. It kind of talks about some of the stuff we talked about. It says because this movie was a low-budget, non-union film, they used at least 10 crew members as actors, and many others didn't want their names on the credits even. They also hired a lot of local people from Calexico, California to be extras, and a few were put in as principals with lines. The art department covered 80% of the storefronts on the main boulevard with period-looking facades. The crew worked 6 nights a week for 5 to 6 weeks for most of the scenes. The only nights off were Sunday nights, so a lot of the crew would drive into Mexicali, Mexico, to go dancing at their version of a Studio 54 disco. The Model A car, which we're seeing right now, that was owned by the local guys, was actually very troublesome for the duration of the movie. By the end, it was dragging on the ground because the suspension was so bad.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And then later on in his career, with an interview with Playboy magazine, Tom said that he did this movie because he wanted to work with Jackie Earle Haley.
Wow.
Because I'm telling you, like, he was a pretty big star in those Bad News Bears movies. So this is a funny thing. It's talking about when they shot at Calexico, that like one night the cast and crew was partying at a local like bar. It says Cruise was dancing with an Asian girl when her boyfriend noticed and slipped on a pair of brass knuckles. This was noticed by one of the leads, and they hurried Cruise out of the club, joking laterly that they saved his beautiful molars. So apparently some guy was putting on brass knuckles going to beat the shit out of Tom.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So here's some trivia about the car, which we'll see again here soon. The Jackie Earl Haley's car, the 57 Chevy. It says the make and model and color of the car in which the guys that cruised to Tijuana was a light red 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air convertible. In 1965, the year in which this film was set, the car was a very fairly common one to see and could be bought for a fairly reasonable price. It says nowadays a restored car of that type could bring more than $100,000. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, obviously, like, well, not obviously, because nobody knows me, but when I was younger, I was always around a lot of car shows and stuff, and like, I mean, back then they were valuable and like special. I can only imagine now. That was like,
Yeah.
I don't know what, like 20 years ago,
Yeah.
30 years ago.
So here we see Spider. He got thrown into the Tijuana jail, that's where you don't. That's pretty much why I never go to Mexico. You don't want to get thrown in jail for bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he gets thrown in for his part in the ballroom brawl, and it's just basically all these guys like laying around on like the floor on burlap sacks and shit. He has to sit down somewhere, and the guy's like, "Yeah, whatever." Some wino looking guy. And then, like, yeah, this giant, like, the bully guy of the jail comes in, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't tell you to sit there." And, like,
the boss of the jail.
yeah.
So.
And it's weird, too, because, like, you would see guys like this in movies back then where, like, back then, this was a muscular guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of, like, fat. It's weird. Like, he's kind of fat, but he's, like, solid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's how the Kingpin was supposed to be in, like, the Spider-Man comic books.
He looks like an old tiny wrestler.
Yeah, he does. Like, old beefy wrestler. And so, yeah. And, like, Spider, you know, he's a tough guy. Like, first he's not trying to get in the shit with the guys, but then it's obvious that the guy's going to, you know, it's like pretty much seems like the guy does this to everybody who comes in the jail. He starts shit with them. Kind of like just the jailhouse bully. Like, thankfully, like, this movie didn't go there, like at first you think like, oh, is Spider going to get raped or something? Like that's where all prison movies went back then. It was just all about ass rape.
That's American prison.
Yeah, but yeah, this guy he starts a fight with Spider, and Spider does fight him. Like he doesn't puss out. Like he's willing to fight him, but it's just like this guy outweighs him by probably a good 70 pounds. And this guy's like a man. He's a tough man. Spider's just a high school kid.
Oh.
Yeah, he gives him a little slap. Spider's like, "Fuck you," and he's like beats him down. Kind of like knees him in the face too. Spider don't give up though. Like he keeps going for a while. It's good.
I like how that dude's just laying there and not moving.
Yeah. Finally, he rams him face first in the wall. Says "Bye bye, gringo." But then he goes and he grabs him a burlap sack and throws it to him like, "Here, you know, lay on this."
Nice
So I mean, yeah, like he's not going to keep picking on him. He just kind of like,
you could sit there.
yeah, he says now you can sit there. It just was like a bit of entertainment for all the guys in the jail to laugh about. It was weird how there's like almost like a screen door there that goes into the other part of the cell. So yeah, so like the guys in the Model A, Jackie Earl Haley, Dave, he was mouthing off how he slipped this girl a Spanish fly and she's getting horny. Well, it turns out that girl was actually the guy's sister. Yep. So now they kidnapped him and Wendell. They're going to take him to the local, what do you call it, junkyard and deal with them.
You got to talk to Pedro over here.
Yeah. So Tom and Shelley, they saw Spider in the back of the police car going to jail. So they're trying to work out a deal now with the cop to get him out. Which like you see them working a deal, but like I don't think they fully explain it till later. But like yeah, this is going to set up the whole climax of the movie, whatever.
He's trapped there forever.
So let's talk a little bit like while they're working this out. Let's talk about the whole reason why we kind of started down this road of these early Tom movies, because these characters and stuff he would play, like I know Tom's just kind of, you know, and granted we haven't seen the new Top Gun or whatever, but like Tom used to really be all about the individual characters playing one time, the drama, the comedy, like whatever he was doing. Now he's all about franchises. Like,
you mean when his body wasn't invaded by the body snatchers?
Yeah, before he met Xenu in the primordial caves or whatever.
He was actually human.
Yeah, before his spirit was locked in the base of the volcano or whatever it is. But which by the way, like that is like make a movie about that shit.
Yeah, really.
And like Travolta he did Battlefield Earth, and then like people were just like, oh fuck this shit, we don't want to see it. Because like Battlefield Earth was the movie that was supposed to make Scientology like cool or whatever.
Really?
Yeah, because it was based on L. Ron Hubbard book.
Oh wow.
So yeah, and then when that flopped, like kind of like the whole L. Ron Hubbard cinematic universe like kind of collapsed into itself.
Cinematic universe.
I mean but like it wasn't like now like now they have like the religious movies and they're funded by like a small studio you never heard of. Yeah. Well, like Travolta, he talked Warner Brothers into making, that was before anybody thought anything negatively of Scientology, I guess.
Yeah. You know, with all the money that Scientology has, like
they should make movies.
I'm surprised they don't make movies.
Yeah, they're probably, but it's like that thing how like
they could make money.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Well, it seems like now, like they're just all about owning all those empty buildings. Like I think they're just all they care about taxes and saving the money.
They don't really have money.
Yeah. Well, Tom's paying them, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, like we're just really trying to take a look at Tom's early career and kind of see what he was like before he became Mr. Because like
I'm just a completist. Like we've started. Ben Affleck stuff from the beginning, and like I refused to move on until we watched the next one. Mm-hmm. And then like we didn't really do it with Johnny Depp. We kind of did it with Robert Pattinson. Mm-hmm. Not like he has that many on his agenda or his career yet, but yeah, like I just like seeing from the beginning like the progression of like people's careers. Like it's interesting to me.
So here's the next big turn of events. The soldiers, because they're in the brawl too, they got thrown in the jail too. They find Spider, and all three of them gang up, start beating him up.
And now El Padrino over here is
the bully of the jail comes out, and he becomes like the hero of the movie because he beats the shit out of the soldiers. Like Rick Rossovich punched him in the face, and he goes like he doesn't just knee Rossovich in the groin, like he puts all his weight into it.
Welcome to my cell.
Yeah, he even says, if you want to talk to my friend or anybody else, you come to me first.
He calls him his friend.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Because, I mean, obviously, Spider had gotten beat up all night long. He couldn't have fought all three of those guys by himself. Yeah, this is sad, too. This is where they talk about, they're trying to work out a deal. They're like, oh, what about his, the cop to get Spider out of the jail? And Shelley Long's like, what about his mom? And Tom says she doesn't have any money, and even if she did, she wouldn't care about him. Yeah, so this is what's going on in the junkyard. Jackie Earle Haley, they put a hook up through like his pant, I guess his belt or whatever.
You can totally tell this dude has no idea how to use that thing.
The blowtorch, yeah.
And then like when he tried to light it on fire, you could tell he got scared because it came out so strong.
Yeah, it's so giant. So they got Earl Haley up on a crane hanging about 20 feet off the air. And they got this giant welding blowtorch this actor does, and like they're waving it at him like they're going to like lower him down, and they tell him like, oh, you come to our country and you treat us bad, so we're going to take away the offending part. You think you're so masculine. Basically, they're playing a prank on him, but he doesn't know it. but like that they're gonna burn his dick off with his blowtorch. But him and Wendell, like, you know, they think it's real.
He's just hanging there.
Yeah, and Wendell kind of breaks free for a second because this guy was kind of half-ass holding him and then doing the crane.
You could tell that thing was hurting him because he was like, holding it.
The flame or whatever?
No, when he was hanging up there.
Oh, yeah.
He was hanging onto the back of the thing like, oh my god, take this off.
Yeah, whatever harness he was wearing, like, they always say those are super uncomfortable, like, cut into your legs and shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, the GIs, they give Spider the dirty look, like they're gonna stop him from... Yeah. The jail daddy comes out and says... El Padrino. Adios, amigo. Tells him to get out.
I like how he's all greased up.
Yeah, you know, stay oily in the Tijuana jail or whatever. But yeah, they get Spider out, they work a deal, and like, they don't say it yet, but like, you'll find out in the later scene that basically, Tom had to agree to give over, Jackie Earle Haley's 57 Chevy. Which is like such a hard, like, harsh thing to, pay, because like, this was such a nothing charge that they had Spider on, but the cop acts like it's just like the biggest deal in the world. Like tells him, yeah, when he goes before the judge, he's going to get 3 or 4 years in prison at least.
That's TJ.
Yeah, that's how they work it down there.
Yeah. Well, I shouldn't even say just TJ. That's Mexico.
Yeah. But like, yeah, what I was getting back to with Tom, like during this time of his career, like I was like, I mean, not that I was the biggest Tom Cruise fan or whatever, but
see
like,
how he's holding her arm?
Yeah, he's always touching her. He's very affectionate and close with her.
But it's not even affectionate. He's like, hey, he's got like a hard ass grip every
Well,
time.
he's in Tijuana. He can't let anything happen to her.
Go ahead.
But like I was with Tom, and then like, you know, these early movies that he did, like I saw, and like they're cool. But it was really the movie he kind of did after this Legend. It was a big fantasy Ridley Scott movie. I really loved that movie and like Tom in it. Then he did Top Gun, and he kind of lost me because like Top Gun just really wasn't a movie for me. Like
You weren't the audience for it.
Yeah, I was like 9 years old. It really wasn't about like, I know a lot of people think he's like super cool in Top Gun, but like I didn't really think so. And it was just kind of this like whack movie about this guy trying to be a hotshot. Like I don't really like the Maverick character. Like he's just a guy who's like thinks he's hot shit and he's going to prove he's the best pilot and all that shit. I don't really like that. I like Tom like how he is in this movie, how he's like a nice guy. Yeah, this is where they notice the bulge in Jackie Earle Haley's pants. But yeah, I just like Tom playing like the more humble characters. And then later on, like, you know, like I went and saw Tom Cruise movies after that. I really liked The Color of Money. Like I liked his character pieces. And then like in the 90s, he started like, I felt like he wasn't acting anymore. He was just being Tom Cruise.
He was just being Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, he was being like this like larger than life egocentric. So like I really fell off the Tom train for like a very long time. Like I would still check out most of his movies. There's still a few I haven't seen. There's a few over the years like Far and Away I enjoyed and stuff. And, you know, Days of Thunder I thought was okay. I think the one that I really enjoyed the least when I saw it was like The Firm. I remember me and my dad went to see it on like 4th of July. And there was like a fight scene where you're supposed to fucking believe Tom Cruise would have to physically fight Wilford Brimley and like, have a hard time with it. It's just ridiculous shit. And I was just like Tom's movies like really rubbed me the wrong way for a long time. But like eventually like he started doing more and more stuff. Like I liked the War of the Worlds. He started doing stuff where it was like less about Tom Cruise and he started winning me back kind of. And I like the Jack Reacher movies and like.
I thought you didn't like those though because they were PG.
The first one, yeah, I had a problem with the sniping scene when they do the sniping and there's not a drop of blood. But like the people are supposedly being like ripped apart by like a high caliber sniping rifle. I did have a problem with that, but I like his character in it. Like he's just more of like a secretive badass type guy. And like the Mission Impossible movies, like they were kind of hit and miss for me for a while. But like eventually they become like so like cartoonish. I got back into it. And like now. Yeah, you can see like the harness he was actually wearing there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Wendell steals the Model A and like, you know, pulls it under the thing and puts the guys on a foot chase and it gives Jackie Earle Haley time to get off. So like they're pretty much escaping the junkyard in the Model A now. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, a little kid driving the truck around. But like that, unless it was like a stick shift, which it might be, but I don't know. Like that probably wouldn't be a hard car for a kid to drive, really.
Weren't all cars stick shifts at one point?
I thought they were. You would think that one, but like they just don't really show it. Like if it was a stick shift, there's no way he could drive it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I really come around. Like now, I love Tom's. Like you falling off the Tom wagon now. Like you don't really like any of his newer output, but like I kind of like just how ridiculous of like a movie star is. Like with the Top Gun thing, how he learned how to fly the jet and all that.
That is the only one that I've kind of been like, all right, I'm willing to break my Tom Cruise fast.
Yeah.
As far as his 90s, his Scientology era stuff.
Yeah.
To see that freaking movie. But the only reason why is not because Tom Cruise looks cool and because he learned how to fly and made everybody on the cast learn how to fly. That freaking Lady Gaga music video makes the movie look so awesome.
Epic, yeah.
Yeah, so like, I'm just like, that's why I want to see the movie. But I'm like, damn, I've never seen the first one. That is another one that I know I should have seen by now that I have never seen. So I'm just like, I don't know. Who knows whenever we'll sit... You don't like Top Gun. I'm never going to sit down and be like, let's watch a Tom Cruise movie. So who knows when that will happen. But...
yeah, I mean, I'll be willing. And like,
there's so much other stuff we want to watch that...
Yeah, it's true.
That's never going to be at the top of our list.
Yeah. Like once it hits video, I might, then rewatch the first one and then watch the second one. Like,
we kind of gotta watch the first one though, like way in advance because of the huge time gap. Like,
yeah,
it'll be weird watching it so close because it's like
it's hard too because we got some Johnny Depp movies we want to watch.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, who knows?
And I also want to watch the M. Night Shyamalan superhero trilogy. So. Yeah. So this is where you find out that Tom had promised the cop Jackie Earle Haley's car, and Jackie Earle's like, no. He's like, Spider got thrown in jail. Like, I don't care. He's like, leave him behind. I'm not giving up my car. But then the cop, like, he finally reveals how corrupt he was, where he's like, oh, you guys stole that car, that Model A. I'll throw you in jail for that. So, like, now the cop is, like, basically willing to throw everybody in jail just so he can keep the 57 Chevy for himself. And I like, forgive me, I have no idea who this actor is. Who he might even be a well-known guy. I just don't know him. The guy who plays the guy who the Mandalorian who plays the corrupt police chief. Yeah. But like this guy's really good. Like he's really got like good like comic timing. Like just everything about him. He just has like a nice over-the-top delivery to all his lines. But he's like really really good. Almost has like a leading man quality to him. I I know he's barely in it, but I really like Chewie too, the guy who runs the car upholstery place. Yeah. Like he really kind of gets some scenes in here like late in the picture, but it's just funny like all that upholstery there and stuff, like just a small little outdoor business that was specialized in that. Yeah. Everybody's just watching what's happening. Yeah, so like they pull like hijinks here. Where they Three Stooges hijinks where they do the log and they push the guy away. So like they end up handcuffing the cop. They get his gun away, push it away or whatever. And they handcuff the cop to a table. And like it's kind of cool too because like Wendell the Wimp, his giant bag of fireworks, he throws it in a police car. And, like, lights them off, so, like, they're going to start blowing up here in a second. So even when the cop does get free, he can't really, like, drive away. He tries, but, like, his car's full of fireworks. Yeah, it's funny. Chewie's like, I got the keys to your car still. You forgot to pay me. And they're like, oh, hurry up, pay me. I thought it was funny, too, that the cop starts, like, blowing this whistle he has. Like, what are they going to do? Like, you know what I mean?
He took the guy's cigarette.
Yeah, the guy, the Chewy cigar. He's going to throw it in the bag of fireworks and throw it in the cop car. Yeah, and then here on top of it, like now the cop's going to try and chase him, but here's the guys from the junkyard. They're going to try and chase him too. Like this is where it gets really wacky. It starts becoming like almost like a literally.
Oh my God! Here, the way he's lifting that table, it's so silly looking.
Like he's going to chase them carrying this table around. This is a good.
Damn, that he broke it.
Yeah, he broke it all apart. Yeah. He's like, Chewie, why didn't you help me? So, oh.
He's like, why did you give him the key? He's like, because he paid me for the tuck and roll.
Yeah. Yeah, and the cop car is like blowing up with fireworks inside of it and shit. This is a good chase though, considering that guy in the Model H is like holding on for his life in the rear of it, in the bed of it.
These captions are so strange.
Yeah, we were watching.
The Spanish ones are totally wrong.
Yeah, what they're saying, but yeah, like I just like the whole setup here, and like they're racing through the town. Like we kind of already established the town or whatever, and like now they're going to be racing through it with this crazy car chase. So then eventually the cop will get in the car, but it's still blowing up.
And then it looks like at a certain point he wants to start laughing too.
Yeah, he's like, holy shit.
Because it just keeps popping.
There's no way the car wouldn't like blow up at some point.
Keeps popping and popping.
Yeah. And now the MPs got the soldier guys out, so they're in a Jeep too. Like except for the cop car, like they're all open air convertibles or Jeeps,
like he's gonna
trucks.
pop in his face.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's covering his face driving because the fireworks are so blowing up in his face. I felt bad for Chewie though, because he's like laughing at him the whole time. I'm like, isn't he going? When all this is over, isn't that the sheriff going to come back and bust him for something? Yeah, like the Rick Rossovich is like, oh, like we're leaving, we won't get another chance at that guy, or whatever.
It kills me to see them driving that car like that. Like,
just crashing it up, yeah. So yeah, first you have the MP Jeep, like, and that's like on the poster, like they crashed their Jeep into a sign for bullfights. Yeah, and they tell the cop, oh, they went that way. And he's like, oh, yeah. And then, like, his car's still blowing up with fireworks. Get those mothers.
And then this girl practically gets her toes ran over.
I know. Just bored hooker sitting in the street.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, it's funny, too, because, like, I guess the street has emptied out a little bit, but, like, you totally get to...
The guy's blowing the whistle.
Yeah, everybody blowing the whistle, like, that's going to make people stop shit. But, yeah, the guys in the Model A are chasing the guys in the Chevy, and, like, at this point, like, Shelley Long sees her husband walking on the street, and, like, he ducks into, like, a stripper bar. But, like, this is where you kind of get, like, the setup of the, you know... like what's going to happen here. So like Wendell has like one last rocket left and he shoots a bottle rocket at the guys and like it's basically like they can't see because like the front of their car's flaring and then they crash into like just all the knickknacks of the what do you call it?
Stands.
Yeah, the stands where they sell the little cheap shit, whatever. Yeah. So like they're like, oh, we got away, and then they get to the border and they still got the cop chasing them, but like it's just totally like, yeah, they got chickens, yeah.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, the cab driver tells the guys, like, oh, I know a guy who'll fix your car real good. So yeah, like they're going to the border and like they just basically get stuck because like there's all these cars in a row trying to get back because going back in the U.S. is hard or whatever. And like Spider like does like a really cool thing where like. They make it look like for a second like he jumps out of the car like he's gonna abandon them or something. Mm-hmm. But he actually goes and tells the Border Patrol. And like what's great too is like the Border Patrol guy, like I didn't recognize him at first because he's clean shaven, but this is Joe Spinell, the great Italian character actor who it almost looks like his long hair is like pulled up under his hat, but like he had a small part in Godfather. Yeah. But he's the most famous. He was friends with Stallone. Like, he knew Stallone real well. But he played the main killer guy in the movie Maniac, the greasy maniac. So Joe Spinell, the legendary slasher, sleazy film guy. Yeah. It was like, I was like, holy shit. Like, I don't even think when I had this film on DVD, I don't even think I ever even noticed it was Joe Spinell. Mm-hmm. So, like, he tells them, like, hey, like, I'm not with these guys. I just barely know them, but I think they got a lot of stuff hidden in their car, and that makes them like seize the car and go, okay, come to the front. We're gonna like they don't arrest them because they don't have any charges yet, but they basically detain them. They make everybody strip down, And, like, that was their way of getting away from the Mexican police. Because, like, once the U.S. border guys have them in custody, the Mexican crooked cop couldn't really do anything to him. So it was pretty genius. And, of course, everybody strips down. And they're like, oh, this guy's got something in his pants. He's smuggling something. Of course, it's for the last time, it's Jackie or Haley, the joke of the tube sock. And they're like, what's in it? And they take it all apart. They look in the sock, put their hand in the sock, thinking he's, like, smuggling some drugs or something. But it's just like...
I like how the other guys are half naked and he's still fully clothed.
Yeah, because he's nervous about showing the guys his sock dick or whatever.
Pull it out.
Yeah. They look at it. Joe Spinell has to take it apart and look at it. He's like, huh. But that's like that's like your like good comedy thing of just like the joke that just keeps paying off and paying off, paying off. It's weird too because it's like, yeah, and they throw it in the trash. He like,
oh my god.
Yeah, they take the car totally apart, like with all the panels and shit. And Joe Spinell's pissed at Spider. Says, what are you, some kind of wise guy? But obviously they can't tell him, like, the real truth of why why he pulled that little stunt. And then, like, I was kind of surprised because, like...
He's like,
yeah, Spinell tells him, like, okay, guys, it's over. They ain't got nothing. Put the car back together. Like, I really wouldn't think Border Patrol would put it back together at all. I would think they would just be like, okay, it's your shit. Like, whatever.
Parts, we'll throw it in the trunk.
Yeah, really. And then Jackie Hurley's like, no, like, you gotta put it together this way or you'll scratch it, whatever. Now, here's, like, the kind of big wrap-up for the Shelley Long character, and I thought it was weird, because, like, then her husband is coming back across the border, and, like, when we saw him, it looked like he was in Tijuana, like, trying to party, because, like, she yelled for him, and then he just ran in the go-go bar or whatever. Yeah. But now when he...
Because it seemed like he heard her.
Yeah. It seemed like he saw her, too. And he's just like, oh, they reunite. And he's like, oh, I was looking all over for you and all that kind of stuff. And it's just kind of weird. Like, I kind of, like, don't know, like, what to make of this, like, ending for her characters. Cause, like,
I don't get why she's going back to him. Because, like,
yeah.
He's still, like, everything, all the things she didn't like.
Yeah, like, nothing is fixed between them. Like, I guess she just, like, going through with, like, the divorce, like, she just had second thoughts. But it's, like, really why? It's, like... She had this adventure with Tom. She had sex with this young boy, whatever. Like, she got to cut loose in Tijuana and have fun. And, like, what's funny is, like, when you watch this, like, this whole movie, like, it's really, like, the whole movie probably takes place from beginning to end in, like, a course of, like, 12 to 14 hours. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even, like, a full day, really.
Yeah. Because, really, from morning to night. Dang!
Yeah. And then she kisses Tom all passionately in front of her husband. Her husband's like, he's like, what the fuck's going on? He doesn't know what to make of it. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is when they realized that Tom had sex with her. Because, Tom would never brag. He's more of a gentleman than that. But, yeah, like, the Shelley Long character, like, I didn't know what to make of it. Because it's like, during the course of the movie, like, I didn't think anything she was doing was, like, morally... She goes and kisses her husband again. Like a little peck, even though she just passionately made out with Tom right in front of him. But no, like, I mean, I didn't think, like, she did anything wrong having sex with Tom or anything. Because she was getting divorced. But now it's just like, what's the point of having sex with another guy if you're just going to go back to your husband? Like, yeah. Like, I don't really get, like, I feel like it would have been more empowering. And I totally forgot that the husband showed back up. I like this shot, too, where they're driving back, on the coastline. It's like, sunrise, so it's a real pretty shot. But no, like, I just think it would have been more like whatever, more like a positive or powerful storyline for her if, like, she just then would have exited the movie starting her new life, you know what I mean?
You have modern thinking going on here. Yeah. That doesn't happen back then.
Yeah, she just wanted to have hijinks just like the guy.
Woman empowerment didn't exist.
Yeah. I don't know.
She needed to go back to her marriage.
That she took a half-day break from. Yeah, so they get back to America and, like, they stop at, like, this little, like, kind of, Pacific Coast, like, roadside diner. I like this, too, that Jackie Earle Haley takes off his Sinatra hat he's wore the whole movie. He just looks at himself and he throws it in the trash because, like, threw his sock away out of his pants. He threw his Sinatra hat away. Like, he's not trying to be like some.
But look, he's still checking her out. He's still trying to be.
Oh yeah, he's still horny. He's just not trying to be the ultimate. You know, he's not putting on the act anymore. I guess you could say. It's like the stud. So yeah, they get here in the diner. They just want to eat some breakfast, and then the GIs are there, and like the movie literally ends like. Rosevich is a big guy. He's like grabbing Stockwell and Tom and pulling them down. And like a giant brawl breaks out with everybody throwing food. Just everybody goes crazy.
The younger brother's like, these idiots.
Yeah, Wendell the Wimp walks out. And he
breaks the fourth.
He breaks the fourth wall. It's like, this is where Ferris Bueller got the idea from. Wendell looking in the... Yeah, he just throws his arms up and he's just looking at the camera, shaking his head like, these dummies, what are we going to do everywhere they go? And then, of course, the theme song starts like, come on, boys, revving your engines, we're losing it. Ow. Like, it's just so fucking... Using it, abusing it, having the time of our lives, losing it.
Johnny Hot Rocks, he was the MC.
He was them, yeah, Johnny Hot Rocks, yeah, he was a real dirty guy. If you look at him, yeah, Border Patrolman Joe Spinell. So I mean, that's it. It's just hijinks from beginning to end. It ends. Everybody learned the lesson, but then more hijinks broke out, and like that's what I missed. Like because you're like, oh, I can't believe you're watching this movie when you're a little kid. It's so dirty or whatever. But to me, it was just like guys having fun, having hijinks. Like I thought this was what you're supposed to do when you got older and got into like high school.
The movie was not hijinks, okay? Half the movie was sexcapades.
I mean, I still, like, love this movie. Like, when I told you, like, we watched it earlier this week, and the next day I was like, man, I can't stop thinking about that movie. Like, it's one of those things, like, there was a lot of movies I watched on cable when I was a kid, and then years later, I was like, I remember bits and pieces of them, and then I watched them again years later, and, like, some of them were, like, nothing like I remembered, and some of them were exactly like I remember, and some were, like, kind of boring now. But this movie, like, I just remembered as a kid, like, this movie seemed like it was, like, the ultimate, like, adventure, like, crazy hijinks, shit breaking out. And, like, when I saw it again for the first time about 10 years ago, like, yeah, like, I got that DVD, and I was just, like, and now watching the Blu-ray scene in high def again, it's, like, there's so, like, I kind of see a more better picture of, like, you know, like, really what the movie looks like and all that kind of stuff. Like, I still really like it. Like, I guess it's weird, though, because my perspective has changed, because, like, I thought this was, like, the biggest, most wildest adventure, whereas, like, now when you watch it, there's a lot of quiet character moments, and a lot of character development and story arc and stuff, and, I mean, like, you know, everybody always learns some lessons in some teen titty flicks, some sex comedies, but I think this one is really, like, I think this is, like, the Godfather of teen titty flicks, because, like, it's got a great cast. Everybody changes. Everybody learns a lesson. Everybody, like, whatever. So, like, I can't recommend this movie really more highly enough. Like, I think everybody needs to see it. Like,
oh my God.
I just, you know, like, I'm serious,
Every
though.
male needs to see
Well,
it.
yeah, for sure. But, I mean, you probably don't have a pair of balls if you can't sit down and watch Losing It. But it's just got the classic, like, storyline and everything, because it's, like, you know, set in the 60s, where, like, it kind of, like, is the...
It's as old as me.
It is. It, like, it was produced the
40
same...
years old.
Yeah.
Dang.
But it's, like, to me, this movie is, like, the perfect blend of American Graffiti and Porky's, pretty much. See the poster? It's one of those things where they probably drew the poster based on like the script, and like because like the guys in the car, like none of them facially like really look like the guys in the movie. Like they're kind of dressed like them, but like they never, like when like Wendell throwing the big firecracker out, it's like a full grown man instead of like a chubby little boy. And then, like, in the back, like, you see, like, the GIs busting through, like, the billboard in the Jeep. The one guy's, like, flying to his death or whatever. And then, like, the guys up in the, like, it's not even really the Model A. It's just, it looks like another car up there, like, blowing up. And then the giant, like, I remember this, well, I guess I didn't really see, I mean, maybe I saw the theater poster, but I remember the VHS box, the pair of legs in the car. And then, like, for some reason, I always thought it was supposed to be Shelley's Long's legs, but I'm like, no, she never wore stockings like that. That's like the hooker's legs. But it's a very interesting poster, like some of the concepts somebody thought of it like that. Like, it's got a good graphic design element to it, too. Like, the way they put those stripes in there to give it some color and some pop. Yeah, Curtis Hanson, no longer with us, passed away a while ago, but I'm glad he went, you know, because a lot of times you watch these little obscure movies from the early 80s and the directors didn't do much. I'm glad he got to have a big kind of like Academy Award winning career. That was a nice little, you know, success story. But yeah, so thanks a lot for joining us. Thank you for tolerating losing it. Like this is
Jeez.
like
way to sign off. Oh, me?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
I'm talking about.
you were talking about listeners.
No, I'm just saying this movie was.
I didn't tolerate it. It wasn't that bad.
This movie was a big part of my childhood, and I knew the only way I could ever get you to watch it is to trick you into doing a podcast episode about it. So yeah, so
That's pretty true.
Yeah, I thought maybe you would like it just because of like the setting of it, the classic time period of it, but
I am a sucker for well, this is 60s but 50s type movie.
Yeah, but yeah, good little flick, a little forgotten, but that's what the movie graveyard exists for.
You couldn't find any guy friends to do it with you.
Well, come on.
To do this podcast with you, you said no one had it.
No, I mean just nobody knows about it. Like if I just bring it up, there's nobody like.
That's what I mean.
Like yeah, like I mean I grew up watching it. You know, it was like the formative years or whatever. But yeah, so it's fun examining Tom's career. It's fun examining anybody's career, really. Yeah. You know,
I like it.
Yeah. So
all right, sign off for real.
Yeah. So thanks a lot for listening, and we'll catch you back here next time in the movie graveyard.